everybody, my name is Kristen and I'm a naturalist with the City of Aurora's Open Space and Natural Resources Division. I'm here with my friend the Bullsnake at the Morrison Nature Center at Star K Ranch. Today we are joining the Aurora Public Libraries as we dive into some Summer of Imagination videos. Now today we're going to be doing a video all on snakes, and this friend is a bullsnake. These are a type of snake that you can find in Aurora. They are non-venomous and they can grow up to 8 feet, which is pretty cool. If you want to learn more about snakes, hang tight and join me inside in just a moment while we take a second to learn about some of the adaptations of snakes and why they are so important to our Aurora habitats. My name is Kristen and I am a naturalist with the City of Aurora's Open Space and Natural Resources Division. I am so excited that you are joining me today as part of the Aurora Public Library's Summer of Imagination series. And today I have a very slithery friend to introduce you to, and that is snakes. There are 29 species of snakes across the state of Colorado. That is a tongue twister. 29 snakes across the state of Colorado. And a part of those snakes are bull snakes, as well as green racers and prairie rattlesnakes. So here in Aurora, we do have some diverse species of snakes. We are going to take a look at the rattlesnake. So rattlesnakes are a species of snake that you can see while in Aurora. So you'll have to keep your ears and eyes open while you're on a walk this spring and summer. Now, rattlesnakes, though some people think they are scary, they're also very important. Rattlesnakes help to eat a lot of the small rodents that also live in Aurora. So their diet is mostly small mice and gophers, voles, so they are really, really important to our ecosystem. Other animals also eat rattlesnakes. That might include things like owls or coyotes, so they are both prey and predators. Now, rattlesnakes have lots of interesting adaptations as they make their way through our ecosystems. So the rattlesnake is very well camouflaged. You can see here on this snake that its scales are more brown, tan, white, and black. You can imagine that these scales would be very well adapted to moving through the grasses, rocks, and prairie ecosystems here in Aurora. They do a great job of camouflaging into those sort of rocky areas. Rattlesnakes also have this really distinct triangle-shaped head. And this head is what is used to, of course, swallow prey. They can open their jaw really wide to swallow that mouse or whatever other species they're eating for their lunch. Now, rattlesnakes are, of course, venomous. And venom is when something bites you and makes you very sick, versus poisonous, which is something you eat and then that makes you very sick. So poisonous and venomous are two very separate things. When thinking about the prairie rattlesnake, we want to think about venom. So these rattlesnakes have sharp fangs, and with those fangs comes venom. So if a rattlesnake were to bite you or a small mouse, it could potentially inject venom, and that is what makes people pretty sick. Now, not every rattlesnake is going to bite you. It's important to know that rattlesnakes shake their rattle and make that distinctive noise when they're trying to warn you that you're getting a little too close. So if you hear a rattlesnake shaking its rattle, that usually means we want to stop, look around, identify where the snake is, and then back ourselves up a little bit to give that snake lots of room to get away. The snake is often rattling its rattle at you because it's a little scared. So keep that in mind. If you're on a walk, you hear a rattle, just know that we need to stop and back away from the snake so that we don't make it any more fearful than it already is. You might also encounter other snakes while out and about in Aurora. We also have the bull snake. Now, the bull snake is an ambassador snake that we have living in the Nature Center. The snake that you see in the Nature Center represents many of the snakes that live here in Aurora, but specifically the bull snake. Now, the bull snake looks very similar to the rattlesnake, but is more brown and yellow. Another important difference is that the bull snake is not venomous. So it does have teeth, but instead it uses constriction, wrapping around its prey in order to kill and subdue before swallowing it for lunch. The bull snake is not dangerous to humans, but you might see it in the wild. Just like the rattlesnake, if you see a bull snake or any other snake, you want to stop, back away from the snake, and give it lots of room so it can slither on its way. The bull snake is also very important to our ecosystems because the bull snake, similar to the rattlesnake, eats lots of small rodents. A cool thing about the bull snake is that the bull snake also likes to climb trees, and the bull snake can get up to 8 feet long. So the bull snake is quite large in terms of the snakes we find here in Aurora. Now, when thinking about the snakes, I want you to think about and use your imagination. How do they smell? How do they hear? Of course, when looking at these snakes, they don't have ears like I do, or like mammals. Think of your dog. Your dog probably has really big ears. Snakes, they don't have ears. So instead, they feel the vibrations of the ground. So as they are slithering along, they are taking in information about the small vibrations that are going on next to them. They also have a really unique way of smelling. So you might see a snake sticking out its tongue, kind of flicking its tongue. It's actually taking in scent molecules and processing them through its mouth. In all of the snake's mouths, they have something called a Jacobson's organ. And that is a very specialized snake organ that allows them to process scent. So, if you recently had breakfast and you have a snake close to you, it might be picking up the breakfast that you had earlier that day. And if you happen to be a mouse, it might be sniffing to see where you are by taking in those scent molecules using its tongue. Now, how do snakes move? Well, snakes use a lot of their muscles to move through the grass because they don't, of course, have arms or legs. So snakes are actually quite strong and capable of moving using a lot of their skin and muscles and some of the bones that they have within their skeleton. When using our imaginations and learning about snakes, I think the skeleton is a really amazing thing to look at. Here, this snake skeleton really shows you how many ribs a snake can have. Humans have ribs as well, but certainly not as many as snakes. Snakes can have up to 400 ribs, which all connect to their backbone. And of course, they have a skull as well, similar to the skull that's in our human heads. They also have teeth, and some snakes even have fangs, which is where they might release venom if they are a venomous snake. Pretty cool. We also have snake skin. And snake skin is, of course, what a snake sheds. So a snake will shed its skin about 2 to 4 times a year. It's sort of like if your feet get too big for your shoes, you'll have to get bigger shoes. Well, sometimes snakes will grow. And when they get too big for that skin, they will shed their skin so that new skin can be present. Sometimes they'll also just shed skin as a seasonal change when they're waking up from the winter or as they're going into a brumation state in the fall or winter. Snake skin is really interesting. It's quite tough and it feels a little bit like paper, though it is very fragile, so it can sort of break or flake off. And this snake skin here is all of the snake skin that was shed by the bull snake that lives here at the Morrison Nature Center. So every time the snake does shed, we try to keep its skin. You can see sometimes it sheds that skin in one long piece, and sometimes the skin is shed in very small pieces. This is from the tail of the snake. You can see it sort of tapers down to where the tail would be. Now, I also want to show you a little bit about camouflage. I want you to try and see where there might be a snake. All right, you're looking closely. There is, in fact, a snake right here in the center of the picture. That is a bull snake. You can really see how the bull snake uses its coloring, those browns and yellows, to blend itself into the sand and rocks and plants that can be found in many of the habitats here in Aurora. If you were walking by the snake, you might not even see it because it looks just like the surroundings that it lives in. It's a pretty great way to camouflage yourself from a predator like a coyote that might want to eat you, or if you're trying to sneak up on a mouse that you want to eat for lunch. A lot of our snakes here in Aurora, in addition to other wildlife, will use camouflage as they move through their days. Lastly, I also want to show you the rattlesnake's rattle. So we talked a little bit about how the rattlesnake uses its rattle to warn other individuals, whether it be human or other animals, that they are getting close to a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake is venomous, so it is important to listen for this rattle while you are out and about in the open spaces and parks. This rattle makes a very distinct noise. A really cool thing about the rattle is that it is made out of the same material that your hair is made out of. It's called keratin. And the rattlesnakes use this very wisely when they are in nature. So it's an important noise to become familiar with. It's actually quite delicate as well. So this rattle used to be on a live rattlesnake. After that rattlesnake died, we decided to keep the rattle so we can learn lots about it. Snakes have all sorts of amazing adaptations, from the rattlesnake's rattle to their ability to camouflage and even to shed their skin. Snakes are incredible! And if you want to learn more about snakes, you can come to the Morrison Nature Center or the Seanad Creek Nature Center or the Plains Conservation Center. All three of those locations have nature centers where you can learn all sorts of things about snakes. You can also visit the Aurora Public Library, where we have lots of interesting books about snakes that can really feed your imagination as it comes to snakes and other reptiles. I hope you enjoyed today's imagination video all about snakes, and I hope to see you on the trails or at one of our nature centers or libraries sometime soon. The Morrison Nature Center is one of 3 nature centers across the city of Aurora. If you are interested in participating in a nature program or joining us for a summer camp, feel free to visit auroragov.org/nature for more information on program offerings and all sorts of fun information about the plants and animals that live here in Aurora.